secret for the last 40 years, and today I have my special guest. He's the founder and combat veteran teaching companies to see their own blind spots, none other than Mr. Christopher McKeithen. Welcome, Mr. Chris. On Book 101 Review, can you please introduce more about yourself that I missed?
Yeah, so like you said, I'm an Army combat veteran. I was deployed to Iraq, came back home, and decided that, I'm going to make a difference in other ways once getting out of the military. So decided to close a gap within the cybersecurity realm and fill a need that most companies didn't know that they had. So that need was showing them that they have a visibility problem and not a vulnerability problem. And that's two totally different things. So that's basically what I've done. Coming to you from East Texas, where everything's bigger in Texas, right? But yeah, so I built Aegis Cyber Defense to solve a problem. One that's not really talked about very often, or that I've seen anybody talk about very often. And that's the visibility of assets that are visible to attackers outside of your security environment.
Well said, Mr. Chris, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. And today, let's talk about why your company has a visibility problem, not a vulnerability problem. You say most companies don't have a vulnerability problem, they have visibility problem. That is a striking reframe. Walk us through the difference in plain English. Why does distinction matter for a business owner who just wants to sleep at night?
Yeah, sure. So first, let's talk about what is a vulnerability. A
Okay.
vulnerability is a weakness that's inside the company, right? So it's
Yes.
inside of your environment. So if you think of your company as a building, you are protecting your company from within, looking for those vulnerabilities.
Mm.
The visibility problem is going outside of your house and looking for your assets that you may not know you have. And those are what attackers are going to use to get inside your house. So visibility, knowing what's even facing the outside world. And a lot of companies, they don't realize that these assets are exposed. And so if you don't have a tool that's going to pull those assets and show you, then you can't secure yourself. You can't secure your assets. And if you can't secure your assets, those attackers, those people that are just online, and there's always one person that wants to just ruin everything that you have built. So if you don't know those assets, then you can't secure yourself until you can figure out, oh, this asset's exposed. And if I can take this asset and secure it, then I'm good, right? But
Mhm.
if you don't secure it, then an attacker can take that and breach your company. And I don't know if anybody knows this, but according to IBM, if you're a larger company and you get breached, on average, it costs the companies just shy of $5 million. A small to mid-sized company, a breach is going to cost you anywhere from around $200,000. So knowing what's visible is extremely, extremely important.
Indeed. So, Mr. Chris, what is the single most common blind spot you discover when you first scan small or mid-sized businesses' external attack surface? And why do their own IT teams usually miss it?
So if you're talking about my group of people that I normally deal with, my clients, they're small to mid-size. They don't have a lot of budget to get these enterprise tools that could find these visibility problems, right? So they're
Mhm.
flooded with the tools that they have. They're flooded with alerts. And if you ask any of them, more than likely they'll be like, "Hey, I have alert fatigue. There are so many alerts. We're talking hundreds to thousands of alerts that they have to triage and filter through. And most of the time, it takes days, if not weeks, to filter through all of this, and they can't find what's actually critical. So the main issue that some of these companies have, and the reason why they don't get to these visibility issues, is because they're so um, busy getting the vulnerabilities down, they can't even think about their exposure, right? So if they had something that they could use and come in and filter out a lot of these alerts, and they can just see, hey, these are the critical ones that you need to focus on. I think then those businesses can see those issues and be a lot more productive in their work, and they probably would actually enjoy coming to work versus waking up having to come into the office and be like, oh my gosh, I got to go through all of these alerts. I'm really not really wanting to do that today. So hopefully we can stop that alert fatigue from happening, and they can actually see what's critical, and make the necessary steps happen.
Well said, well said. Mr. Chris, you build the Aegis Exposure Intelligence platform to solve exactly this visibility gap. Without getting too technical, what does Aegis see that the standard vulnerability scanner misses, and why does that matter for companies with no dedicated security team?
So the biggest reason why a company would choose this platform is one, if you're on a budget, this platform is for you because I'm not charging you a ton of money that some of these bigger name platforms will charge you. Some of them $50,000 to $100,000 a year to just use their platform. So it's going to save you a lot of money. So if your company's on a budget, this is definitely the reason why you would go with Aegis. But another reason why is because we actually tap into a couple of databases. One is the MITRE ATT&CK database, and that's the one that the federal government uses um, to cipher through cyber attacks that are happening right now. So cyber attacks that are happening, they can see, and they can see what's exploitable, what are attackers actually going after right now. So we actually cross-reference that database, as well as the CISA KEV, so known exposure database. So that way they can see those as well. So this platform cross-references both of those, and so if you have any assets that are within those lists, it's going to show you, so that way you can do something about it. So just those two databases alone will save you. But also you can integrate other programs within this platform that you already have, so you don't have to recreate the wheel. You can integrate what you already have into this program, and so you can do your vulnerabilities through this, and it's actually going to filter through your alerts and show you which ones are critical. So that way you don't have to triage, you don't have to worry about doing any of that. You come on, get on the platform, you get onto the dashboard, and it shows you what you need to do. You click the attack surface, and it shows you the assets that are exposed, so that way you can do something about it before the attackers get to your crown jewels. That's the biggest reason why Aegis is the platform that you should have in your security team.
Well said, Mr. Chris. And you spent 7 years in the army, including a combat deployment in Iraq. How did this experience reshape your understanding of risk? And what did you teach you about cybersecurity that no textbook could?
I would say the biggest one, and this is really what had me asking the questions to begin with, is we were trained to be less visible, right? So if you got, if you're on a patrol, you don't want to be seen, or if you're trying to conduct a mission where you've got to be, you got to use stealth, you don't want to be seen. So when you're on the fob, right, you have all of your soldiers inside of this fob. All right, it's a forward operating base for those of you that don't know what fob means. But when you're downrange and you're inside your fob, you've got all your soldiers in there. You're good, right? If somebody gets in, they're done. But if you didn't have soldiers patrolling outside of the wire, you're in trouble because you don't know what's coming. So that's really what got me interested in what companies have visible outside. Because if they don't know what's going on outside of their environment, they're going to be in trouble. The other thing is discipline, right? Discipline. If you don't have discipline, then you're not going to make it anywhere you go, right? So discipline, desire, the willingness to move forward when everything else is hard. Those three things alone will get you extremely far in life. And then building this business, that plays hand in hand with making sure a business is successful, making sure you go out there and get it. The Army teaches you all of those skills. Well, the military period, not just the Army, but the Marine Corps, the Air Force, Navy. As long as you put your nose down and do what you're supposed to do, even when you don't feel like doing it, it's going to get you far. And the last thing that you need to have is integrity. If you don't have integrity, if you're not doing what's right, even when nobody's looking, then you don't deserve to be in this place that you're at anyway. So those are the big things that the Army or the military itself instilled in me to be successful.
Mr. Chris, in combat, you cannot protect everything equally. You have to prioritize based on intelligence. How does
Mm-hmm.
the same principle apply to a small business with limited IT budget and no security team?
Right. So that goes back to what I was saying earlier about the vulnerabilities. Because with those teams that have hundreds, if not thousands, of alerts, the biggest question is where do we start? Right? Where do we start? Because we can't be focusing on, this little email issue or another alert where somebody tried to log into their computer and forgot their password and they tried it 3 or 4 or 5 times and now they're locked out. It'll shoot you an alert saying, "Hey, somebody's trying to get in," when it's really just one of your employees that forgot their password. So, which ones do you filter through? Where do you start? So you've got to be able to filter through these things if you're going to be more productive. So knowing which ones are critical. That's one thing that I'm very proud of that Aegis does is it cuts out all of the noise and it rates each thing, each asset that's exposed. Hey, this is critical. This one you need your focus, but it doesn't need your focus right now. Hey, you know what? This one's it's low. It's a low rating. You don't really have to worry about it. I mean, get to it if you can get to it, but focus on these critical ones right here. And the best part about that is if you have an asset and it's labeled critical, you can actually go in and you can actually see the path the attacker could make to get from that asset that's exposed to the assets that you don't want them to have. So we call them crown jewels. So the big things that can cripple a company and hold a company hostage. So knowing what's important is huge, and cutting out all the noise. It's very important.
Important indeed. You founded Aegis Cyber Defense in 2026 while attending cybersecurity school full time and raising a newborn at home. That sounds impossible. What is the lowest moment in the journey that makes kept you going?
You know, um, if anybody that's ever started a company, it is probably one of the hardest things you can do. Throw a newborn in the mix, where they're up every 2 hours. That's another one. It's really you have to have a desire to do it and stay focused. And so that means a lot of late nights and a lot of early mornings. So that way, in the middle of the day, I can help out and make sure that my son gets what he needs, my wife gets what she needs, whether that be rest or the baby needs attention. So you got to be able to do those things, and at the same time, you have to get work done. So you have to find time. If you really want to get it done, if you really want to be successful, and it's something that you really want to do, you will figure it out. You'll find time to do the things that you need to do. That's period.
Well said, Mr. Chris. You are a SDVOSB certified entrepreneur. For listeners who don't know what is the acronym, what does Service Disabled Veteran Owned Small Business mean, and why does certification matter in the cybersecurity space?
So that is a certification that lets people know that one, it's founded by a veteran. It's not just founded by a veteran, but it's founded by a veteran who has a disability rating. So you have to be a disabled veteran to have that certification. Why that's important is one, that signifies that you are a leader in the space that's going to have massive integrity, that has the training necessary to do the job, and is no BS, right? So uh, this is going to allow people to trust the business and the person that's running it, to make sure they're going to do everything that they need to do to make sure you have everything that you need, and that me personally, I'm the founder, and I'm not going to tell you something that isn't true. And if I tell you that I'm going to do something, it's going to happen. So that certification, for the people that are outside of the federal government, that's what allows them to know, hey, this guy means business. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's talking about. Now, within the federal government, that certification will allow me to take government contracts. So that's the big distinction between inside the federal government and outside the federal government. So that certification will allow me to take federal contracts to be able to work with the federal government.
Well said, Mr. Chris. What is the one thing every business owner should do this week to reduce their exposure that costs absolutely nothing? Not a tool purchase, not a consultant, just a mindset shift for a simple action.
Well, what I would do if, I mean, without purchasing my platform, right? Let's not even think about purchasing the platform. If it was me, I would go to, if I'm a business owner, I would go to my IT team, whether that be an MSP or if that's just a IT director that I have on staff, if it's just him and one other person, or my entire security team, if I'm a larger company, I would go and I would ask them, one, do you know what assets are exposed? Not vulnerable, but what's exposed. If they can't tell you, then you know you have an issue and you need to figure that part out. I would make that a priority, because if you don't know, if you're a business owner, you don't know what's exposed. If you have assets, then your business, the business that you created, in my opinion, it's in jeopardy, because an attacker is not looking at the size of your business to see, oh, this company's too small. I'm not going to go after them. They don't really have nothing, right? They see what's exposed and they just go after it. So whether you're a small business or an extremely large business, you need to ask that question: what is exposed? Do we know what's exposed? So that way we can make sure that we cover our butts. That's what I would do.
You serve in Iraq, then integrated to civilian life, then built a cybersecurity company. What did military teach you about resilience that you still use every day as a founder and new father?
Right. So resilience, so what is resilience? The ability to bounce back, right?
Yes.
So this is something that's huge. If you're in any kind of job, not even just running a company, but if you just have a career, you're going to be faced with hard times. You're going to be faced with demotions. You're going to be faced with pay cuts. You're going to be exposed to people telling you, no, I don't really want your business. What are you going to do with that? You can't just sit back and cry. You can't get in a corner and rock back and forth and suck your thumb, right? So you have to be able to brush the dust off your boots and keep moving. There's going to be other people. There's going to be more opportunities. This isn't a deal breaker. It's just a setback. And with every hard time, there comes a learning opportunity, and that's all it is. So you take that hard moment, whatever it is, you step back. And Jocko said it best. He says, whenever I'm faced with something bad that happens to me, good, good, because now I can step back, I can learn that lesson, and now I can keep moving forward, right? So I can get more training. I have more time to be better than I am. So that way, when that opportunity comes back around, I'm going to get it. So if you want to be successful, you have to be resilient. You don't have a choice, unless you just want to quit and sit on the couch, right? So that's what I would say about resilience, and that's something that I have to use on a daily basis because anybody who knows anything about sales or business sense, you're gonna be dealt a lot of adversity, a lot of obstacles, and people that really don't believe in you. And so you got to look at that and be like, you know what, we're good. I'm gonna keep moving. I'm gonna keep moving. Somebody out there knows that they need this and that this is important and that I'm valuable.
Valuable. Definitely, that's a good mindset, Mr. Chris. And before we wrap up our discussion for today, can you please recommend a books that influenced your journey?
75 Hard, hands down, one of the best books that I have read. It's by Andy Frisella. So, just in case nobody knows what 75 Hard is, that's listening to this, it is a program that Andy Frisella started. That a lot of people think it's a weight loss program. It's really not. It's a mental toughness program. It challenges you for 75 days to do tasks that you wouldn't normally do, and hold your feet to the fire. So I would
Mhm.
recommend, and you can actually see it. I've got it sitting right back here. 75 Hard, the book on mental toughness. That book alone is worth its weight in gold. Shout out to Andy for writing it and creating the program. That's one of the best books that I've read, and I love to read. I love self improvement books to up my game. But that one alone is, I mean, I'll reread it once a month if I need to.
Thank you for that recommended book, Mr. Chris. You direct listeners to Aegis Cyber Defense Co. Without giving away the entire platform, what is the first question your team asks a potential client, and what does that answer tell you about where they have a visibility problem?
So I mean, I asked this question to every company that I get on the phone with, and the biggest question, and this is the question that Aegis answers, is if I was to ask you right now what assets you have exposed, could you tell me? And I haven't had a company yet tell me, yeah, I can actually tell you. So that right there, I mean, tells me that there is a significant need for this platform, and that's absolutely what I'm trying to do. That's the problem that I'm trying to solve for these business owners and these companies, because a lot of these guys, they've built something awesome, they built something great, and the last thing that I want is for this company to lose everything because they didn't know that they had a visibility problem. So that's the number one question that I ask every company when I get on the phone with them.
Well said, Mr. Chris. So can you please invite our listeners to support your business, your projects, or anything you want to promote on Book 101 Review?
Yeah. So if y'all want to follow me, I'm on LinkedIn. So y'all can find me on LinkedIn, Chris McKeithen Aegis. But also follow me on YouTube as well. I've got a YouTube page. You can find me, Chris McKeithen. Just look me up. I'd love to see you guys.
Yes, definitely. Mr. Chris, thank you so much for your time. And I have one more question. If we could leave every small and mid-sized business owner with a single truth about cybersecurity, not a scary statistic, but a grounded, actionable truth, what would it be?
It would be that no matter what, somebody's out there trying to take what you have, but rest assured, you have tools and weapons at your disposal that will take care of you. Period.
Well said, Mr. Chris, and thank you so much for your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Welcome, people. See you soon. I'm inviting you to please to come over to my other podcast